Welcome back to the SpaceNews Leading Women series. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Iridium Chief Operating Officer, Suzi McBride. Hi, Suzi. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Debra.
I'm so glad you could make time for this today.
It's a great topic. I'm looking forward to it.
So, did you start your career with the original Iridium constellation?
I did. Back in the 90s, as a young engineer, I worked for Motorola to build the original constellation as an industrial engineer who was looking at manufacturing design. So that is where I started getting into space and getting into this world of a large constellation network.
And then what made you return to Iridium in 2019?
Well, I actually, this is my third stint at Iridium, if you want to really be honest about everything I did. So I started in the 90s building the original constellation with Motorola and launching at all of the different 3 countries we did. And then in 2007, I came to Iridium, the company we are today, and helped start the Iridium Next to build our 2nd generation. So I was here leading kind of a lot of those efforts with launch and satellite manufacturers and putting the whole program together and the cost, working under the COO at the time, and was there all the way up until about launch. And I left then to try my hand in broadband for a few years at OneWeb. And then I came back to Iridium in 2019 to be the COO. And the big reason I came back is, I mean, I've just always loved what Iridium is about, what we do. We service a great market here for our customers, but also because we just launched our network. We had this brand new network, and it was an opportunity to kind of grow and push our team, ourselves, to kind of push the network to the next level, the limits, and start innovative on new services and products that we can launch with that. So it's a great opportunity for me personally, but also for the company, and to also bring, I think, my insights back into the company on where our strengths are and where we play well in the marketplace.
So of the women I've spoken with, some have remained with a company or organization, some have left and come back, as you have. What advice would you give women on how to grow a career?
I think my first advice is always more importantly, to focus on the opportunity itself rather than the where or what. I mean, it's really about finding the role that is your next growth opportunity, that is interesting to you, that you will be motivated personally to jump in and get that strength or knowledge or experience that you don't have. I think you can do that very effectively within a company. I mean, I've done that here with Iridium. I've done everything from building satellites to doing operations, to doing product development, to doing program management, to doing cost and budgets and financials. So there's, I think you can do that within one company very easily, as long as you're motivated to kind of continue to look for those opportunities in a good support system like we have at Iridium. In fact, we just launched a new program called the Orbit program, where we bring new people who are new to career to do rotations throughout our engineering program, so they can kind of see everything. I think the advantage of moving within a company is you get a lot more depth in knowledge around your products, your services, and understanding, where you play in that space. Moving to outside of a company, I think you gain different perspectives, and you gain different cultures and ways of doing business and diversity of thought. So both can be good for somebody. I think the most important thing, though, is to always look at what it is you're trying to achieve next, and where are you going to get that from, and ensuring that you're growing yourself in the ways that are interesting. I tell a lot of people I mentor, as well as friends, I always say, don't chase a title or, a salary. If you chase something that you're passionate about, that you're interested in, and you're growing, I think you got more of a long run to sustain that and enjoy it over time.
So during your career, you've seen the industry change so much with the new low Earth orbit and multi-orbit constellations. What impact does that have on Iridium's business?
I think it's important to remember that LEO and GEO and multi-orbits have actually been around a long time. It's a neighborhood LEO. We've been there for a long time, but there's always been a multi-orbit services, especially in our businesses with mobility and maritime and aviation. Partners are always looking for multiple type of services. I think what's very new and the big change recently has been the Ka/Ku band LEO that's been introduced especially for the broadband markets. And we're paired a lot with those players as well today, continue even LEO and GEO Ka/Ku band. The important part is the redundancy and picking the right technical solution. And so I think where the multi-orbits and the LEOs and the GEOs and the MEOs, it's really for the customers to look at what is it that they're trying to do, what business case are they trying to solve, and then for us specifically, how it affects Iridium is, for the bigger markets, the mobility markets like maritime and aviation, they really focus on what's called PACE, right? The primary, the alternate, the contingency, and the emergency services, and make sure they got a lot of those redundant alternatives. And for Iridium, we're kind of the ACE. We're often paired with the broadband solutions, Ka/Ku, LEO, or GEO, to ensure that when there's not coverage or when there's an emergency or a storm, they have our capability always to be there. So that part I don't think has changed. I mean, we do have some primary, that's not, especially for a big broadband. Other players have the big broadband pipes versus our L band. I think the other place is about the technology and what's the right technology for the solution you're trying to do. So for IoT, the partners that we have, it's very important on battery life, size, antennas. And so for that, the L band, is very important because that provides more mobility and allows them to do, but smaller data bits, because it's not as important to get the big broadband connection. It's more important that they're getting very critical information out reliably on time, wherever they are in the world, and that the partners can offer the same solution to their customers, no matter what part of the world they're operating in, which really simplifies it for the customer base for them to integrate with Iridium. So I think it's interesting to watch, but for Iridium, I think we kind of still have a lot of that advantage to partner and to provide the right solution, especially when it comes down to smaller critical data bits that have to get through to a customer's endpoint.
So speaking of your customers, you support various industries and applications, and the U.S. government is one of your largest customers. Can you share more about the services and their importance, what you provide the U.S. government?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a long history with the United States government. And in fact, they were the ones that originally helped bring Iridium to life, the current company we have, and save the original constellation that was built by Motorola. So they are still our biggest family plan, that we have as one of our large customers. We've also now expanded in doing operations for the Space Development Agency to help operate their network, given our history of operating a large constellation for 25 years now. So they're still a very, very important customer to us, but they're also just one piece of our pie. I think our vast majority of our business is around the commercial entities and other governments, quite frankly, across the globe. And, that's, again, part of the core of who we are. It's about being a very global company and industry, and we support a lot of different players there. I think it's a tenet of ours is to from the original system was to make sure that we had all the regulatory agreements in place. And I think especially Motorola and then now Iridium, it's really important that we continue to have that presence in all parts of the world and the globe, because it's important both for our government agencies who are also in different places and need to have critical communications, but also just, from our commercial partners as well, who are selling a product that may be in a different country, and they want to be able to take that piece of equipment and move it to another country and have that global reliability and understanding that they're allowed to operate where they are. So, yes, the government's a great part of who we are, and we will always be there for them. And they push us in different ways to continue to grow and create some innovative products. But we also have a lot of other global entities and a large commercial business.
So turning to Satelles, what opportunities and challenges does that acquisition present for Iridium?
I think the biggest challenge is to take advantage of the opportunity. As you can imagine, in the world we're in right now, there is a lot of reliance on GPS within our banking sectors, within our communication systems. And so it's both a threat, and we've seen jamming happening in parts of the world that are taking out critical infrastructure. And so for us, it's more of that there's a need, and the challenge will be is, can we get out there fast enough? And that's what we're trying to do. You might have seen a press release that we've just done, that we are now offering it to our partners in different regions of the world to get that started more at a grander scale. We've got a wonderful partner base of over 500 partners that build products on us. So we want to make sure that we're enabling them to get this type of service into products and out there in the market to enable, especially the critical infrastructures, to have a better solution than, an alternate solution to just the GPS. I mean, our broadcasting signal is about 1,000 times stronger than GPS. So it's a very well suited for indoor applications that don't require as much infrastructure on buildings, or, when you want to have a communication system in your building, or a critical kind of banking system, you can use these things to help enable that opportunity to ensure that you are getting the right timing and location information.
Mm-hmm. Turning to the supply chain, at Space News, we've been hearing about supply chain issues a lot in recent years. Are those affecting Iridium?
They certainly, we had our challenges through everything like everybody else, but I think we weathered the storm very, very well, and really impressed with how our team did. I mean, I think you can talk about supply in two different levels. One is more the equipment hardware supply, and the other one is the service delivery, supply of your actual services. I think on both fronts, Iridium's been outperforming others in the industry. We certainly had challenges during the COVID and post-COVID timeframe, but we really leaned forward to ensure that we had our supplies in place to service our customers through those kind of challenging demand times. And then I know with some of our other partners have been really looking at us too from a service delivery, because there's been other competitors are having some challenges in different regions with their service delivery. So on both fronts, I think we've been doing really well. I'm thankful to say, I think we've weathered the storm of the equipment supply chain that's hit the world a couple of years ago. When I was an industrial engineer back in the 90s, I never would have expected to ever see a global scale of this bullwhip effect that has happened across all industries. I mean, space is certainly not isolated in this regard. It's happening everywhere, in automobiles and in computers and other components. I think a lot of companies are still trying to figure out how to get out of it properly. I think, though, we've positioned ourselves well. I've got a wonderful, phenomenal supply chain team, as well as an operations team that really worked hard to understand the risks ahead of time, to position us, and to really think through the next couple of years and how we're going to manage through that, and what is the right approach for Iridium and our shareholders. So I think I don't think there's much for us any longer in terms of that supply chain issue. I think others are still kind of managing a bit through it, but hopefully at a global scale, we're kind of coming out of it now. But it really taught, I think, a lot of companies what is to figure out where is the right place to thread that needle of having enough inventory and supply, and understanding when to lean forward versus trying to be as lean as you can, because lean is good, but lean was not good when you hit that global issues of not having any inventory.
Yes, I remember when just in time was the big thing.
Yes, and it's still, I mean, just in time is still a great approach. It's just a matter of figuring out what is the right, system in terms of quantities in that just-in-time system, and where is there risk, and where should you have dual suppliers? Where do you need to lean forward in terms of, bigger Kanbans? How do you do that in the right way? It's always threading that needle, which is a challenge for a lot of companies, but I think Iridium has done a really good job to do that.
One of the things I've been asking people is whether they have advice. Do you have advice for people entering the field who may not fit the stereotype, what people think of? They may think of white male engineer as the aerospace industry.
Yeah. Well, first, I think it's changing a lot, which is wonderful to see. I think it's also really important that we do have non-traditional, backgrounds in our industry. I'm a big supporter and touter of diversity of thought. I think it's critical, and it makes our company better and more innovative. The more we have innovation of thought, and that can be from both having team members that have been here 25 years, having brand new team members, having people from different backgrounds of education. We're having interns are happening right now in the summer, and I love it. We used to have only kind of a couple schools we went to. Now we've got, I don't know what the number is, but we have probably 20 different schools now, which is great because now you're bringing in people that have been learning in a different way. They might have heard a different approach, and bringing that in is very important. And as I tell a lot of people, I meet people who love space. They're space nerds. They're interested, but they're like, I don't want to be an engineer. That's not my specialty, my background. And I keep telling them there's other ways to be involved in the space industry. You don't have to have the traditional, engineering, electrical engineering, or aerospace engineering to come into our field. We do need people that have business degrees and law degrees. There's financial aspects of it. So there's a lot of ways you can supply chain. There's a lot of ways you can touch and be part of the space community, and not have to have just the traditional, type of engineering degree that most people assume you do. And I think it's fun to watch when people have that passion and an interest, and find that they can apply to companies like Iridium and be a part of who we are, and kind of scratch that itch, but still doing what they're really good at and where their other passion is, in terms of their education or their other backgrounds.
That's great. You've covered my questions. Was there anything else you wanted to say?
Oh, I just think this is an incredible time in our industry. I mean, there's a lot of change happening, and it's really fun. I mean, as we always say, we're the OG of kind of constellations and innovation. And I never would have thought in 25 years after the fact that we'd be the long-standing constellation company, and sort of the old ones, right? But it's really fun to watch things that I started my career in the 90s. I came in not building satellites, not knowing how to do it, quite frankly, and challenged by Motorola and my managers at the time to figure out how to build a satellite a week, which now, sounds long. Back then it was unheard of. And so I think it's important that we continue to innovate and we continue to push ourselves. For Iridium, we are innovative at our core. We are built to be a businessman's telephone system, quite frankly, back in the 90s. That didn't work out for a lot of reasons. Lots of great business cases were written about us, but we innovated, and we continue to evolve and grow ourselves in different ways with our short burst data message, with our IoT markets, with our maritime, and our broadband, in terms of getting more channels together. So I think innovation in this industry is exciting to watch, and I hope we just continue it. I hope we continue to get more and more people coming out of college that are interested. We get more of those non-traditional backgrounds that want to come and do space, because it is really cool and it's a lot of fun. And I think it's a great time to be part of this industry as a whole.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for talking to us today.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.